What if the person smiling at you is secretly planning to erase you from their life? What if the ones closest to you, friends, colleagues, even family, aren't what they seem? And what if the greatest threats don't come with shouting or anger, but with silence, patience, and a perfectly timed smile? What if the person who's smiling at you is actually planning your downfall? No threats, no raised voice, just eye contact, warmth, and a quiet intention to erase you from their world permanently. It sounds extreme, right? But the truth is, people who want you gone don't always look like villains. They look like co-workers, friends, sometimes even family. They don't lash out with obvious attacks. Instead, they infiltrate quietly, becoming a part of your routine, your circle, even your trust. The most terrifying part is their patience. They play the long game, carefully studying your habits, winning your confidence, and then striking at the exact moment your guard is lowest. This isn't paranoia, this is survival. The Stoics taught us not to fear danger, but to recognize it before it strikes. That wisdom begins with seeing clear, especially when evil wears a pleasant face. In this episode, we'll break down 5 subtle but deadly signs that someone doesn't just dislike you, they want to destroy you. And the sooner you see it, the stronger you stand. You've seen them before in the corner, in the background, on your timeline. They're not loud, they don't confront, they just watch at first. It seems harmless, maybe even flattering. They remember your coffee order. They bump into you at the gym, at the store, at that quiet place. You always go when you need to breathe. You think, wow, small world. But it's not the world that's small, it's the pattern that's tight. These people aren't curious, they're calculating, and the silence. That's the strategy. They track your movements, memorize your habits, and appear exactly where you are, exactly when you least expect it. Not to connect, not to communicate, but to control it. Doesn't feel like an attack. It feels like coincidence until it doesn't. And the danger is, we've been conditioned to dismiss our discomfort, to tell ourselves, I'm just overthinking. But predators depend on that self-doubt. They weaponize your hesitation. The Stoics didn't believe in superstition, but they did believe in science. They taught that the wise person observes not just the world, but their own soul. When something feels off, don't rush to explain it away, investigate it. Because there's a difference between someone who's curious about you and someone who's studying you like a blueprint. Let me be clear, this isn't obsession. This is premeditation. And when someone shows up repeatedly in your life without being invited in, when they mirror your movements with eerie accuracy, you are not dealing with coincidence. You are standing in the path of someone who's rehearsing what, maybe just control, maybe more. In our hyper-connected world, stalking doesn't require binoculars. It requires mutual friends, geotag posts, and shared routines. You don't need to leave your door unlocked because they've already walked in through the digital one. The Stoics would tell you your peace is sacred, and if someone's quiet presence begins to disrupt that peace, you owe no one the benefit of the doubt. You owe yourself clarity. So start paying attention. Who keeps appearing when they shouldn't? Who knows things you never told them? Who lingers in the quiet, just close enough to be noticed, but never close enough to be called out? That's not friendship. That's not fate. That's a red flag waving in slow motion. And when your instincts speak, listen, not with panic, but with precision. Because what starts with silent watching often ends with silent damage, and by the time you recognize the pattern, they might already be on to the next move. Let's talk about what that next move might look like. Sometimes the most dangerous person in the room isn't the one who watches you, it's the one who whispers when you leave. Because while the silent observer studies you, the saboteur studies everyone else around you, they don't want to control you directly. They want to control the way others see you. And here's the sinister part. They don't lie loudly, they imply quietly. A raised eyebrow, a well-timed pause, a question that plants just enough doubt. They're not out to hurt your feelings. They're out to rupture your foundation. These are not random gossips. They're strategists. They don't just talk, they calculate. They'll tell your boss, I'm worried about them, they've been acting off. They'll tell your friends, I don't want to say anything, but something seems wrong. And they'll say it with just enough concern that people start to wonder, not because there's proof, but because doubt is contagious. Social psychology has proven that even false claims, when delivered in a believable tone, can damage reputations permanently, even if disproved later. That's the power of perception, and the saboteur knows it well. You begin to feel it. People pull away, opportunities vanish, conversations feel colder, but there's no confrontation, just disconnection. That's the brilliance of this tactic. It's not an explosion, it's erosion from a Stoic point of view. This is one of the most deceptive traps of all, because it tempts you to fight shadows, to explain yourself, to clear your name, to react. But the more you speak, the more suspicious you seem. Marcus Aurelius warned us, what stands in the way becomes the way. But what if the obstacle is a fog, designed not to be climbed, but to disorient? Then clarity becomes your shield. And that clarity starts with documentation, keep records, save messages. Don't react to every rumor, but be aware of every pattern. And more importantly, watch your circle. Not everyone who smiles beside you is on your side. Not everyone who says, "I'm worried about you," is wishing you well. The Stoics taught us to anchor in what is real. So do not chase whispers, track truth, and don't give your energy to defending against people who've already decided they don't want to believe you. Protect your peace, guard your name quietly but firmly, because the saboteur doesn't want to fight you. They want to isolate you, so that when the real attack comes, you're alone. But not everyone comes at you through the shadows. Some walk straight in through the front door with a smile on their face and a plan in their hand. Let's talk about that next. They don't whisper behind your back. They sit beside you. They ask how you're doing. They check in when no one else does. They offer to help, to listen, to care, and you let your guard down because why? Wouldn't you? They're kind, present, generous with their time. They say all the right things, but something's off. You can't name it, you can't prove it, but deep down you feel it. That's the nature of the false friend. They don't tear down your walls. They ask for a key, they offer support, but what they really want is access. Access to your schedule, your fears, your family, your habits. They remember things you told them in passing. They show up when you need someone most, and they make you feel seen in ways others haven't. But make no mistake, this is not connection, it's construction. They're building a map of your vulnerabilities, and each story you share, every emotion you reveal becomes another pin on that map. They're not drawing closer for your healing, they're moving in for the strike. From a Stoic perspective, this is especially dangerous, because Stoicism isn't about closing your heart, it's about opening it with wisdom. Seneca once said, "A friend is someone you trust with your soul, but trust must be earned, not assumed, not given freely to those who simply appear kind." The false friend knows how to mimic empathy. They'll share vulnerable stories of their own, real or not, just enough to make you believe the connection is mutual. But their goal isn't bonding, it's surveillance. And because their mask is warmth, no one around you questions it. Not your friends, not your family, not even you until it's too late. So how do you see through it? Simple, slow down, genuine, trust grows gradually, sabotage hides in speed. Ask yourself, why this sudden closeness? Why now? What changed? True friends don't need full access to every corner of your life. They respect space, they earn depth, they give without demanding intimacy in return. But the false friend, they want your scars, your secrets, your soft spots, because the more they know, the more control they hold. So yes, be kind, be warm, but be wise, because when someone pushes too fast, asks too much, leans in too soon, you're not being embraced, you're being profiled. And if their loyalty is only present when you're vulnerable, then it's not loyalty, it's leverage. The Stoics taught that the wise man is not cynical, but cautious. So don't armor your heart, just filter your gate, because the friend who's moving too fast might not be a friend at all. And once they've gathered what they came for, they'll move from charm to something darker. Let's look at how that shift begins. They start small, a joke that makes you pause, a comment that feels too sharp, a touch that lingers just a second too long, and when you flinch, they laugh, you're too sensitive. I was just kidding. But make no mistake, this is no joke. This is a test, a probe, a measurement of your boundaries. The shift from friendliness to threat is never sudden. It's gradual, intentional, controlled. They don't want to scare you away, not yet. They want to see what you'll tolerate. The Stoics taught that a wise person is not numb to danger, but trained to notice the first tremors before the quake. Because these aren't random moments, they're calculated escalations. A disturbing joke about death, a casual mention of violence, a what-if scenario. That sounds harmless until it doesn't. At first, it's easy to brush off. We don't want to be paranoid. We don't want to believe someone we know could be capable of harm. But predators rely on that hesitation. They inch forward each time, going just a little further. They bump into you a little harder. They stand a little too close. They joke about things no one should joke about. And they watch not your reaction, but your restraint. How much will you let slide? How long before you say something? When will you draw the line? And if you never do, they take it as permission. The Stoics believed in confronting truth without panic. Seneca wrote, "He who is forewarned is forearmed." So if someone in your life consistently crosses the line, masks, threats as humor, and makes you question your own discomfort, don't explain it away. Observe, prepare, respond, because escalation doesn't mean they've lost control. It means they're preparing for something bigger. Leah didn't believe it either. Not at first, the awkward neighbor, the weird jokes, the quiet presence, until a hunting knife appeared on her doormat. No, just intention. That's the point where denial becomes danger, where discomfort turns into survival. If your body tenses when someone walks into the room, listen to it. If you feel yourself shrinking every time they speak, don't justify it. Stoicism is not about silence in the face of danger. It's about seeing clearly and acting decisively. You don't need to fight to defend your peace. But you do need to recognize when it's being slowly stolen. Because when the jokes stop and the silence comes back, it's often already too late. And the ones who escalate, they rarely act alone. Because the final kind of danger, the most terrifying of all, moves in silence and strikes with patience. Let's go there. This is the one you almost never see coming. Because they're not angry. They're not impulsive, they're patient, while others lash out. This one leans back, watches, waits, smiles. They don't play short games, they play the long one. And in many ways, that makes them the most dangerous of all. They don't trip over themselves trying to control you. They study you until they no longer need to. They'll offer to help check in on you, remember your birthday. They blend in so well that even your instincts take a break. You don't sense the danger because they build trust. Not real trust, engineered trust. Every compliment is calculated. Every favor a down payment. You won't see them planning. You just see them there, always available, always nice, until one day they're gone. And something else is missing too. A secret, a connection, a piece of your life you didn't realize they had access to. And by then, it's too late. The Stoics taught us that the greatest threats are rarely what they appear to be. Epictetus warned that what you overlook often owns you, that the enemy who flattens you is often far more dangerous than the one who insults you. The patient predator doesn't need to force their way in. They wait for you to open the door. And because they never rush you, never suspect, they don't need chaos. They wait for your patterns to weaken, your routines to stabilize, your attention to fade. They're comfortable being in the background because the background is where they gather power. And when they finally make their move, it's clean, precise, almost quiet, people say, but they were so kind. They never raised their voice. They were always there. Exactly, that's the point. Their kindness was the camouflage, their presence, the performance, their patience, the perfect cover from a Stoic lens. This is where you must rise above appearance, not with fear, but with vigilance. Don't confuse consistency with character. Don't confuse helpfulness with harmlessness. Ask yourself, why are they here? What do they gain from proximity? And most importantly, why does my soul feel unsettled when I think about them? Because that quiet discomfort, that's not paranoia, that's insight. And while you don't need to accuse, you do need to observe, because this kind of threat doesn't storm in. It walks in, holding a gift and smiles while it studies your every move. The Stoic does not panic. The Stoic prepares, and when preparation meets awareness, danger has no place to hide. So now you've seen the signs, you've heard the patterns, and maybe someone came to mind. Let's talk about what to do with that. If you've made it this far, it means something inside you already knew. Knew that not all smiles are safe, that not all silence is peace, that sometimes the real danger wears a mask of normal. Maybe as you listened, a face came to mind, someone who's too present, too curious, too carefully involved. Don't ignore that. This isn't about fear. This is about clarity, about finally seeing what you weren't ready to name before. Stoicism doesn't ask you to live in suspicion. It asks you to live awake, to honor your intuition without shame, to take your peace seriously, because no one else will do it for you. The world tells you to brush it off, to be nice, to give second chances. But the Stoic knows your time, your energy, your inner life are sacred. Not everyone deserves access. Not everyone deserves explanation. You don't need proof to protect your boundaries. You only need wisdom. So let today be the day you stop making excuses for discomfort. The day you stop silencing the whisper inside that says something's wrong. Because survival isn't paranoia, it's presence. And if this episode gave you a moment of that presence, even just a flicker of insight, don't let it pass. Keep it revisited, act on it, and then do one more thing. Subscribe to Modern Stoic Life, because we don't just talk philosophy here. We practice it. We train the mind to stay sharp, the heart to stay grounded, and the soul to stay free, even when the world gets dark. And if someone in your life needs to hear this, someone you love, someone you worry about, someone who's walking into danger with their eyes closed, share this episode, because knowledge protects, but shared knowledge saves. So stay watchful, stay calm, stay stoic, and above all, trust wisely. We'll see you in the next one.